But when I look at the long term, I look at the data, ironically, and I'm like, we are living in the best time in human history. There's some things that got to change. There's some poor trends we have right now. But I think when you look at all the times when things are going really shit wrong from a geopolitical, economic, sociological, and cultural standpoint, especially in the history, our short history of our country in America, like we've always found a way. And I think,
let's say, for example, you decide to attend a protest that might involve trying to stop the steal of an election. And you didn't violate any laws, but you were on the grounds of the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. Law enforcement has been very aggressive in identifying everybody who most were peaceful. We had a handful of knuckleheads who, sort of trespassed.
Yes.
I don't even know if those charges stuck because the Capitol.
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
But
you're talking about everyone else, especially.
Everybody else. Yeah. The family that was visiting Washington that happened to be in proximity to the Capitol during that event, who didn't go to the event, but their bank, their credit card purchases were examined to determine whether there's proof of presence that they were there, and do we need to investigate? That, I think, you start getting into that gray area of just because you were at a protest, and you should have the right to protest, but the minute you start burning shit and destroying property, then you've crossed a line.
Sure.
But by virtue of being at that protest should not be used against you in the future, or you should not be concerned that the government is using your invoking your constitutional right, that they're going to use it against you because they can.
But I think people have now seen the precedents where on certain scales they do. So when they hear about an even more powerful outfit like Palantir, they righteously go, this is what maybe 1984 looks like. You can see where people are getting that from, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What was that Tom Cruise movie, Minority Report?
Yes.
Where, people are getting hauled away because of what they are likely to do based upon the predictive algorithm that says, well, you've invoked these behaviors, you're of this certain character, so we're just going to take you off the street before you even do it. Predictive policing has been, a term that's been around for years, and that's designed to, place officers in high crime areas. But I don't think we should we shouldn't take any of this surveillance for granted, that somebody isn't going to look at this and say, well, I could use it for this because it's in the public interest. I'm preventing crime.
Right.
I think that's where privacy is beyond, a terms of service guarantee.
Yes.
We have privacy for a reason. Founders didn't describe it as privacy, but there was a reason why they wrote the Fourth Amendment into the Constitution.
That's right.
Where does that line stop? And the more our systems are all integrated for frictionless commerce, that becomes a gray area for authorities, because it's like, I can access this. It's open. It's an open banking portal. We don't have those friction points to make it harder for us to be secure in our papers. But good luck trying to put that back in the bottle.
That's the thing. And that's where, I'm an optimist.
Yep.
There's certain things I'm cynical on because it's like, but when I look at the long term, I look at the data, ironically, and I'm like, we are living in the best time in human history. There's some things that got to change. There's some poor trends we have right now. But I think when you look at all the times when things are going really shit wrong from a geopolitical, economic, sociological, and cultural standpoint, especially in the history, our short history of our country in America, like we've always found a way. And I think we can find a way. But when I see people concerned, and I see people concerned about this all the time, about some life imitating art aspects of society that look a little, say, 1984-ish and Brave New World-ish, it's impossible for me to shut it down and completely and say, no, like there's none of that. There are some things that point towards that. What I would like to believe is that there are enough great benevolent people who are maybe of a more elite status, more power and more wealth.
Who will say no.
Who will say no.
Yeah.
In addition to the people who aren't so good.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like the people who are good can kind of cancel that out.
Right.
And so who knows? Maybe the guys that run Palantir will all turn out to be wrong about them, and they'll actually have the right intentions. I'm rooting for that outcome. It just doesn't. When you listen to them talk, I mean, as much as Teal scares me with some things, that Karp guy scares the shit out of me. I mean, he is a strange bird, really strange bird. It's like, I hope it's just that he's strange. And, there's a governor on these mechanisms. But there's no doubt that the mechanisms that they're starting to form and come up with have immense power now and can grow into exponential forms of power beyond that.
Yeah. And they may have the capability, Foundry is their AI engine. And maybe they have the ability to do predictive things that are a violation of a constitutional right. Somebody in government needs to say, I'm not buying that. I'm not going to fund that.
Yes.
But, predictive, in an overseas capacity, okay. And then you see how it sort of it blends into a monolithic government capability.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, like I was saying before, surveillance sort of chips away. It doesn't just show up.
Yes.
And so surveillance, it's almost like nefarious. It's almost like, evil. It speaks to you in ways that are seductive and doesn't feel like it's wrong or it feels good. It feels, open-minded and progressive and all these things. But the third order of effects, when things are frictionless, that's when the Orwellian state of society becomes like, no, it's just the way it is. I don't have to pay for my train ticket because the transit authority recognized my face and knows that I have a certain amount of money on my account. Convenience. Isn't this cool? Aren't we a progressive, advanced society? Okay, so your proof of presence, every time you have to use an app to buy a $2 cup of coffee, well, that's proof of presence that your credit card company now knows that you were at this coffee shop or this restaurant to buy a $2 cup of coffee. Your proof of presence is now irrefutable.
Yeah.
Is that supposed to be, we're supposed to embrace that as luxury? I don't know. I think a little bit of friction in the system is what keeps us autonomous from the big state. But privacy is, I don't view it being coming from where I've come from and seen. Privacy to me is like, okay, this isn't just a consumer feature that I'm going to depend on Google or Apple to provide for me.
Right.
It's like Americans need to value their privacy, because privacy is a more dignified way to live.
Yes.
So I don't think that there's I don't think that there's anybody in government gangster enough to like push the button to make the dystopian state activated tomorrow. But the technologies are there.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think it's a one person kind of deal. I think it's a road to hell of groupthink and conformity.
It's like we talk about the deep state. So these things metastasize throughout government, not because there's some committee that makes that decision. It's like it starts here, kind of moves over here, gets wind over here. Next thing you know, you've got a cabal, a cartel.
Yep.
And nobody knows quite what the central authority. There is no centralization. It just
right.
It's like cancer, and it spreads, and that is a function of all of these consumer capabilities that make life easier.
Thank you guys for checking out this clip. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe and hit the like button on this video. It is a huge, huge help. And if you'd like to check out this clip's full podcast episode, that link is in the description below or right here. And finally, you can follow me on Instagram and X by using the links in my description below.